playing with confidence. Serves it inside 50.
Inside 50, good hands.
Drilling it into centre half forward. That was end-to-end football at its best.
Back-to-back goals either side of quarter time.
Put it down with the Bulldogs.
I'd fight somebody for you. There ain't no wall I would run through. In your corner when they're ringing the bell. Come hell or high water. I'd fight somebody for you.
Yes, hello WAFL fans. Welcome one and all to your Thursday preview here on Around the WAFL as we build up to another exciting week of football. It's a condensed edition with 3 games of WAFL footy this weekend and the usual quota of 4 on Saturday and Sunday in the WAFL W as the finals race really starts to tighten. With only a few rounds left, the business end is well and truly on. Dare I say it, there might be a bit of extra electricity in this building because alongside me is the great man himself, Mark Reddings. He's joining me here to preview all the weekend's action. Hello, Skeet.
Hello, Paul. Good to be here. Yes, I'm glad there's only 3 games to preview because I'm a bit fatigued having got up to watch England go down to Argentina in the World Cup. So I'm just going to be managed through this episode and get to the weekend in one piece.
Fantastic stuff. England's soccer team, like their cricket team, choking at the vital stage. But we will not discuss any of that here on Around the WAFL because WAFL football is where it is at this week. And what a show we've got for you. We're going to preview all the 3 games in round 15 coming up, the 4 games in round 16. And also, we got a little something cool for all you WA football fans. There's been popping up recently in recent weeks, and it's involving the great man alongside me, so keep your eyes and ears peeled for that as well. It's all thanks to the fine folks at Grants Car Stereo, Sullivan Logistics, Front Row Screens, and of course District Promotions down at East Vic Park. Now, one of the big teams that really caught our eye over the last week, Skeeter, was Swan Districts after their big win over East Perth. They're getting some good players back in their side, and they're looking forward to a huge game against the reigning premiers at Fremantle Oval on Saturday, and their captain, he is fired up and ready to go for this one, and he's good enough to join us here on Around the WAFL to preview that big game. Jesse Turner, the Swans captain, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Great to have you on the show. Let's go back to that win last week. That second quarter was huge. The momentum you established really was kept intact by a strong last quarter to finish off what was a great day out at Bassendean. Would you say one of your best wins of the year?
Yeah, definitely. I think we found out after the game that we hadn't won multiple games in a row since 2024, which definitely wasn't a great stat to hear, but it was good to obviously get a second win in a row after beating West Perth the week before. And yeah, just looking back to last weekend, the crowd was massive. I think, East Perth always get a really good crowd, and our supporters always show out, especially at home. So, we thought it was a big game, and we know how good East Perth are, and even with the players that they've had missing the last few weeks, they've had a couple big wins themselves in a row, smashing Perth the week before. So we knew we were going to have to play extremely well, and it was probably our closest to a 4-quarter performance that we've had so far this season, which was real pleasing to Pruy and all the boys.
So, Jesse, how would you sum up the season? You had that terrific come-from-behind win against Perth. You were terrific, as you say, to get across the line last weekend. It's been a year of almost, but not quite, I suppose, and the finals look a bit far out of reach at this point. But what are the positives you're taking out of this season, given you've had a couple of injuries and I guess some players getting the chance to play at that league level?
Yeah, I think overall, definitely so far, it has been a bit disappointing. We've had a few games, 2 games against West Coast, we lost by under a goal, and we lost to Subi by under a goal, and we felt like we've been in every game really, except probably Peel down in Mandurah, who everyone seems to be getting a thrashing from them at the moment. So besides that, we felt like we've been in every single game, and we probably just had 10 or 15 minute patches where we've let the opposition kick 4, 5, 6 goals, and it's probably hurt us. So I think the last few weeks we've done a really better job at stopping the bleeding and knowing that teams will get momentum and being able to kind of stop it ourselves and not have to wait to quarter time or half time for Pruy to address it. So I think some of the positives is we've definitely had a lot of young boys because of the injuries, step up, especially in the midfield, like Blake Kelly's played the last few games. I think he's going to be an absolute star. Same as Luke Cotalesa, Otis Harvey, who, they're all young midfielders, so I work with them quite closely, who I think, they're going to be great players. Harley Cummins has played the last few games as a full forward, and to see the amount of work he puts in and, how hard he was running and how fit he got in pre-season was just good to see him get some reward for effort. And obviously, I think one of the 18-year-olds that everyone's talking about, Leo Steed, who just came off a great 18th Carnival, he played he's played most of the season with us, and who would have thought we would be so happy to get an 18-year-old back, because he's been an absolute star, and this is definitely going to be his last year with us. There's no doubt he's getting drafted, but yeah, players like that, it's been really pleasing to see them growing and starting to play some good league footy.
They're really complimenting the experienced guns over there at Swan District. So one of the players that was very notable in our recap show on Monday with myself and Ethan Roth was the move of Caleb Ernst into the forward line that threw off East Perth quite badly in that second quarter and onwards. Do you feel that Ernst is going to play a more permanent role in the forward line, or maybe start down back against a South Fremantle forward line that is still lacking that little bit of spark?
Yeah, look, he's been a bit of a swingman for us. He's played back, he's played ruck, he's played forward. I think with Yov Petrick and then Zach Provost, two of our forward recruits, they've kind of been they've been out injured the last few weeks. It's kind of meant Caleb's had to go from back to forward, and to his credit, he's been able to play any position that Pruitt and the coaching staff put him in, and he's obviously a strong body, and he's starting to take some really good marks. So without knowing it, I'd assume he'd probably start forward again. But yeah, he's likely to spend time as the backup ruck, and then if South are to get a string of goals, in a row, he can definitely go back as well, which is why I guess he's such an important player for us.
Yeah, he was super impressive against the Royals, kicking a late goal and really showing us that he is adaptable at both ends of the ground. The midfield, we know yourself, you rack up 30 touches a week just as a given. Josh Cipro's been outstanding this year, obviously missing a bit of that class of Jai Shellcraft as well. Is that somewhere for next year you need to maybe just give yourself a bit more depth? You talk about some of those young players coming through, but I suppose as one of the senior players, you can't go on forever racking up 35 touches a week, Jess.
Yeah, look, obviously, like you say, it's definitely been a bit unfortunate. Jai Shellcraft, who's an absolute A-grader, hasn't been able to play any footy this year. Zane True's missed a bit of time. I think in a positive note, like this is easily Josh Cipro's most consistent season. I think he, going into the year, he knew Jai was going to be out at least for the short term. And then when Zane went out, he really kind of has taken, the midfield under his wing, and because we've had so many young boys go through there, he's had to step up, and I think he's been great for us. And obviously having Clint Hinchcliffe, who plays, a bit more wing but does play inside a bit, having him come as, he is, I guess, inexperienced in terms of WAFL footy, but has played at high professional sport for a long time. It's been great to have him. But yeah, look, I think going into next season, even with Jai coming back in a team like South Freo, who we got this week, they've probably got 3 or 4 A-grade inside mid. So I think it's definitely something where, the club will look to see if we can add another A-grader. And yeah, I think, if we do, that's great. If we don't, I know we got these young boys that are coming along that are going to be really good, and hopefully sooner rather than later as well.
Looking for 3 wins in a row this weekend, but it's a big test against the reigning premiers. Jesse, we really appreciate your time here on Around the Waffle. All the best against the Doggies on the weekend.
No worries, guys. Thanks for having me.
That was, of course, the Swans captain, Jesse Turner, joining us here on Around the Waffle. And this will be a big game for the Swans, especially for their young guys, to really go up against those 3 to 4 A-grade quality midfielders of South Fremantle, who themselves are starting to get back into their true premiership form. Yeah,
the Bulldogs took care of Swans season opener up at Steel Blue Oval. And of course, for South Fremantle, it is Glenn Byron's 100th game, with a mini milestone, but one that I'm sure 9 seasons at the club, he'll be keen to continue his development of premiership player. And what I saw last week with South Fremantle, I called a couple of their matches where they looked well off their best. The Derby against East Perth, they lost 3 in a row during that mid-season patch. And of course, Noah Strom going overseas for that break, so too Trey Rusco. There was an element of uncertainty about what this South Fremantle side could do in an attacking manner, because they were struggling to kick a goal. Now, what I saw last week against Claremont was a terrific game, and I think if that performance is replicated moving forward, they'll be in real danger. A bit like the Brisbane Lions, if they get their best game going, they're going to be tough to beat. But that win against Claremont, I think, was significant with how hard they had to work and the pressure they put on, as was mentioned by Jesse Turner, the likes of Izzy Winder, Matt Parker, their midfield really humming, Aaron Drage up forward doing some nice things. It's a team that shouldn't be discounted come September.
Yes, of course, that'll be a big game for the South Fremantle side to further prove their credentials heading into September. And we're going to go straight to our round preview right now. We'll go to more of that game in just a little bit. bit, because we're going to start off with the first game on Saturday that starts at 2:10 live on 7+ at Mineral Resources Park. The Demons taking on East Fremantle. And this is a game where East Fremantle, they must win or their finals chances are dead and buried. But they're going up against a Perth side who, beside Peel Thunder, you'd say they're the form side in the 5 right now.
Yeah, you'd argue that. I mean, I saw them against East Perth and they were poor. It was a listless display from a team that probably prior to that had been one of the form teams of the competition. And you're right, East Fremantle, I've seen them a few times this year, and each time they've been super competitive with a list that's really been stripped to some degree, losing Milan Murdoch pre-season and injuries, Ruben Maguire. They've had to really shuffle the decks to get a competitive side. But Bill Monahan's done a terrific job in my opinion. Unfortunately though, time is running out for them and they need to get a win. Conversely, Perth, well, they've got themselves in a position where they would be eyeing off a top 3 finish, which of course gives you the double chance. Ideally a home final to finish second. But yeah, this is a big game for them. Aaron Clark continues to hit the scoreboard. Charlie Constable, Corey Byrne, Brandon Parfitt, they've got the midfield there. So all the bones are there with Charlie Dean in defence for this Perth side to continue their winning ways.
I think another name that you want to mention there is, of course, Blake Schlensog, who came back last week against the West Coast Eagles, kicked 3 goals. He's also like a bit of that Caleb Ernst, that swing man, can play a bit up forward, can play a bit down back. And if he goes up forward, I reckon John O'Marsh would be the best player to match up on him because of his height, and they're both very mobile as well. So that'll be a matchup I think everyone will be feasting their eyes on if that eventuates. Schlensog up against Marsh.
Yeah, it's interesting because if you've got Kane Johnston playing forward, Aaron Clark and Blake Schlensog, it gives East Fremantle a real headache. And yeah, conversely, if they need support down back, Schlensog's the guy to jump up and do that. We've seen him at South, and he's, providing he stays healthy, he makes Perth a lot better side.
He certainly does. One problem though for East Fremantle as well, they're also still missing Kyle Baskerville, so he won't play for another 2 weeks. So they've still got a hole in that midfield, East Fremantle, that they're not able to fill at the moment because obviously they're going through that shuffling period of, a lot of experienced players going out of the side, a lot of young players being tested by Bill Monahan. But it also gives players like Jack Cleaver the opportunity to really shine in midfield. He's having a career year, isn't he? I reckon he and Brandon Parfitt could be locking horns at Mineral Resources Park on Saturday.
Wouldn't be surprised if Jack's leading the Lynn medal at East Fremantle. I saw him Derby a day, WA day, and had 37 and 2 goals. He was just best on by that far. It wasn't funny. So, yeah, it's great to see him develop. I know that Bill Monahan thinks he's got some improvement to do on his game if he's to take the next step and possibly get onto an AFL list. But you're right, he's really stepped up to the plate this year.
With that in mind, crazy conditions are going to be forecast, however, because it is forecast to rain. And as we say, rain is the great leveller in football, so it may not be as one-sided as some may suggest.
Yeah, I think rain easing on Saturday, Paul. I've had a little look at the forecast. So Thursday, Friday, very wet, but I think we'll find it by Saturday. And in essence, if you're a good side, you win under any conditions. So Perth, they should be winning. The list says they should. And at home, I think that's probably the way I'll be leaning.
I'm going the same way as well. Perth to continue their push for a top 3 finish, and East Fremantle, well, last chance saloon could be season gone saloon after Saturday. Now we go to the second game at Sullivan Logistics Stadium in round 15, live on 7+. Subiaco back off the bye, also up against West Perth, also off the bye. But there is a special day for West Perth because 1A Black plays his 300th official WAFL senior game. That's including the Foxtel Cup games for any confusion, but a moment of history for a humble champion from Falconland.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Are we celebrating 300 this weekend, or West Perth really hasn't made a song and dance about it? I guess it is 300 official, but I think the big celebration will be when he plays 300 for West Perth, because that's been a bit of an issue, that the Foxtel Cup and what games we do and don't recognise. Either way, it's been a wonderful performance from Aaron, who had an injury early in the season against Claremont and had, I think, a bit of a back issue. So he's fought his way through it, and it's been a tough season for West Perth, but great to see him get out there and play, I guess, at the spiritual home of the Falcons.
And, of course, where they won their flag in 2022, no doubt about that. But what a champion Aaron Black he has been. And we talked a couple of years ago about that milestone not possibly being reached again, but I think in a changing landscape in the WAFL, to reach 300, that's like climbing Mount Everest to an extent.
No question. I mean, there's only a couple of other West Perth greats that have got past that 300 figure, to my knowledge. Is it Billy Dempsey, Mel Winnan, off the top of my head?
Correct.
So on that basis, yeah, he's in rare air, and he deserves all the plaudits he gets. Unfortunately, this year's not turning out the way West Perth would like, but yeah, hopefully from his perspective, he gets a result.
Absolutely, but it will be hard because Subiaco are going to be fresh. They're going to be fit and firing. Borchette's set to come back. Sokol is waiting in the wings for a return as well. But tell you, that midfield from Subiaco just gets better and better by the week. They almost beat South Fremantle, so they've got the capabilities of challenging any side, regardless of where they are on the ladder, especially through Clark, the Hickmott boys, McGowan, and in particular, a player I've really enjoyed watching this season, Marlon Corbett.
Yeah, that's true. And add Stefan Giro to that mix. He's a guy that's getting a lot of the footy, and they stormed home, didn't they, to almost pinch that game against South Fremantle. I think it was 7 goals to 1 or none in that last quarter at Fremantle. So Jared Schofield, look, whether they win the flag this year, what we have seen is they have developed so much under his guidance, his tutelage. So they're a tough team to beat again. We know the quality's there, and he'll go out, whatever happens at the end of this season, and try and recruit diligently. They've certainly improved significantly. I think they'll be winning this game.
I reckon so, but you never know with West Perth. They're a funny old side, even though they're at the bottom of the ladder. They've been competitive. They haven't been blown away regularly by 100 points. You know, they had that tough loss last week against Swan Districts before the bye. They won against East Perth. They showed some good signs in their last meeting against Subiaco back in round 6, where it was only 8 goals in the end, but it really got close earlier on in the contest. But I don't know, even at Sullivan Logistics Stadium in rain that is going to ease off by the afternoon, Subiaco have just got more weapons, especially in midfield. And when you got Greg Clark in good form coming back from suspension a few weeks ago, he really is going to be that real barometer for the Lions, especially when they're pushing for a spot in the 5.
Yeah, and you mentioned their goal-kicking power. Jack Maher can be added to that, Ryan Borchett. They've just got enough quality. Subiaco will be winning that game, despite, you're right, there'll be a sugar hit for Aaron Black and the 300 mark, which is officially unofficial either way. I think, all things being equal, I've been told, whether it's correct or not, that he will reach his official 300 for West Perth, maybe the last round of the season against
round
the Demons.
19.
Is it 19?
Against East Perth, how fitting.
Is that at Joondalup?
No, that's at Leederville.
Okay.
At the Spiritual Home. How fitting is that going to be against your old rivals who you beat the first time out this year in round 19 in the Perth Derby? You can't ask for a better way to reach a magical 300th.
Well done, Blackie. I know he's a school teacher, a bit like Jesse Turner, who's a PE teacher. He's just cooling his jets at the moment, enjoying some time off.
Oh, fantastic. Good on you, Aaron Black. Congratulations on a sensational career. That is still going. An incredible moment there. But I feel Subiaco will spoil the party in the end, and they'll get the job done quite comfortably in the end. And this game, the last one on round 15. This is live on 7 Plus from 2:30 at Fremantle Oval. South Fremantle against Swan Districts. And with the Swans back in some good form with 2 wins in a row in South Fremantle, they're getting some wins on the board against the likes of Subiaco and Claremont. But well, I've said this all season, Skeet. They haven't really got into top gear at any stage this season because they've been tested by the likes of Subiaco and Claremont all year, and they only wrapped it up in the last quarter against the Tigers. So Swan Districts, they could fancy themselves in with a bit of a chance.
Exactly. Look, I go back to what I saw from South Fremantle last weekend. The numbers said that Claremont probably should have won that match, but South Fremantle, they've been able to, I guess, work their way through trailing all day, and they just kept coming and coming. A lot of spite in that game, and it was physical. And, you know, when you've got guys like Jake Florenka with 29 touches, Aaron Drage, as I mentioned, Matty Parker, all starting to come to the party, and Izzy Winder, who got engaged with the crowd and kicked a couple of goals and gave her the, shush up to the Tiger supporters, which is a great theatre. It was a game that I thought was the best of the season that I've seen. And, look, if South continue on that path, I think they might be a little too strong for Swan. So, as you said, they've been terrific. At times this year, Swans, Lee Coleman with 5 goals last week, Carla Burns, as you touched on. So they've got some forward firepower. But I just wonder, against a South Fremantle team that is just starting to click into gear, I get the feeling the reigning premiers might just put the Swans to the task.
That is true, but Swans do play Fremantle Oval very well, if you remember. In their last 2 meetings over there, it was only 11 points that Swan Districts lost by in round 3 of last year, and remember the draw in round 17 the year before. So Swans do have this knack of, playing the wide spaces of Fremantle Oval. It allows their wingers to find that space on the outer side of the ground and just run and carry, get it toward their forward 50. So they might have had a bit of an advantage of that.
Yes, I agree. You're correct with that history. One thing I have seen with South is they don't get engaged in high-scoring shootouts. It's always going to dour, low-scoring. 12 goals probably wins it for them. They like to keep their opposition. When you've got guys like Chad Pearce and Ethan Hughes, etc., Noah Strom, when he returns, they've just got such a stingy defence. So I think they'll keep Swans to under 10 goals, and I think that will be enough for the Bulldogs to win.
One name that you mentioned that is coming back, Tom Bletchenden, of course, he was ruled out with illness before that game against Claremont, so they're going to have almost a full-pronged midfield attack in that game against Swan Districts, and that's the South Fremantle you'll want to see, full strength, in form and in top gear right from the word go, which they've really struggled to be at this year.
Yes, but all you have to do is get into a position come the end of the home and away season. In South's case, I would have thought if they finished third, that would be plenty to get them in position for a challenge at Peel or Perth or whoever's in that top 3 bracket. And Claremont obviously is in their sights as well. I would be loath to rule them out given the quality, and we know that they're just going to jump after what was a pretty disappointing 4-week patch in the middle of the season.
And at the right time this season as well. So South Fremantle for you, South Fremantle for me as well, but it should be a very good game over there at Fremantle Oval. Now, before we go to the break, I want to put you to the test, Skeeter. It's very close in the race for the 5. The only spot that is safe at the moment is Peel Thunder, who are 2 wins clear. We take a look at the ladder for our viewers on the Around the Waffle YouTube channel. There it is. The top 5 is as follows. Out of Claremont, South Fremantle, Perth and East Perth, which side do you think, do you have a gut feeling for that is in the most danger of even slipping out of the 5 come the end of round 20?
Well, bear in mind, East Perth's injuries have been quite horrific through the course of the last 2 months. So that being said, they absolutely took Perth to the cleaners a fortnight ago. So it seems a bit strange to suggest the Royals could be the side dropping out when what I saw against Perth was outstanding. So, look, of the sides that could potentially, I know you're going in a different direction, but you know, if Perth stumbles, I think their run home's pretty good. They finished with West Perth up
do,
at Joondalup, so and they've got Subi to come.
And Peel as well.
Peel, which will be very difficult. So, look, I think Perth probably still makes it. East Perth, if you're going to put any team as being vulnerable, it might be them. But I think the 5 will stay as it is. That's my humble opinion. The Lions are knocking on the door, and West Coast have been good, but maybe it's just a tad away from being a top 5 side.
No, it's a good point that you make that East Perth, even with their injuries, they're still able to beat a fellow top 5 side. And I still think they've got good quality, and especially with those that are set to come back. You know, Wright could be coming back very soon, within 1 or 2 weeks after the bye, because after the bye, they've got Claremont. And speaking of Claremont, that's the side I reckon is in the most danger, because you think about it, starting 6-0, they were brilliant at the start of the season. Then East Perth put a stop to that streak in their centenary game. Since then, they have only won 2 of their last 7 games. So it's an unbelievable run of a slump that Claremont have been in, and they've got some top quality players. They don't have a mounting injury list, unlike East Perth at the moment.
True, but the ladder doesn't lie, and they are 2 games plus a big percentage inside that top 5. And look, they'll be thinking, forget about us dropping out. They will still want to finish top 2. And if that's the case, their season becomes, you know, a whole new look about it heading into September with, obviously, we know they are a team that can play finals. Can they just climb the summit and get to a grand final and win it? That's a challenge for Ash Prescott and his team.
We'll ask our viewers and listeners on that, out of the sides that are in the 5, besides Peel Thunder, who are just about safe, which side do you think's in danger of dropping out? You can follow us on our socials, Facebook and Instagram as well. We're going to take a break, and when we do come back, it's a big weekend of WAFL W football. 4 games, all of them have somewhat ramifications as far as the fight for the Final 4 is concerned, which is also very close at the present time. It's all thanks to Grant's Car Stereo, District Promotions, Front Row Screen Sport and Sullivan Logistics. More to come on Around the Waffle. Paul Persick and Mark Redding's back with more after this.
Take it from me, great things happen at the Waffle.
Valentine Roads and goals.
With free entry for kids, future stars on the ground, and a kick to kick at every break. The Waffle is where footy memories start and legends are made. Follow the Waffle on socials or get to a game.
Hey Siri, how to connect Bluetooth to Mac truck?
Sullivan 2, what's your position?
Just a midfielder, mate. On your left. Oh, come on, get out of the way.
Car Stereo Morley.
proudly supplying and fitting quality car stereos for over 15 years. Selling top-name brands like Alpine, Focal, Rockford Fosgate. From a simple upgrade to complete custom systems. Stop in and see Grant and the boys at 61 Russell Street, Morley. Or visit us online at carstereo.com.au.
You're back with us here on Around the Waffle. Hope you're enjoying this cold and wet day here in the West while we bring you all the great action that is to come in the Waffle and WAFL W this weekend. We've previewed all 3 games of the Waffle, and now yours truly and the great Mark Reddings will be looking at the WAFL W this weekend. Skate round 16. We've got 3 rounds still to go, and the fight for the 4 is almost just as close as it is in the men's competition. As we show you the ladder, folks, Swan Districts and Claremont, they are streets ahead of the rest of the competition, with Swans on top on percentage. But if you look at those 5 teams, East Fremantle, South Fremantle, Perth, West Perth and Subiaco, they've only got a couple of games in tow of each other, and it could come down to that last round, Skeet. It's an exciting competition and the conclusion of a home and away season that is set to be down to the wire.
Absolutely, and if there was a WAFL W predictor, which I don't think there is, but I'm using my own eyes to give you the predictor, then I'm looking at a grand final rematch in 2026 between Swans and Claremont, given what we're seeing from the Tigers at the moment and from Swans essentially all season, losing just the 2 games. Outside of that, you're right, South Fremantle, Perth and West Perth still have designs, and Subiaco to some degree, it should be said, to play finals in season 2026. So a fascinating fix. South Fremantle currently in 4th spot. They're a game inside that top 4, but some vulnerability there if they don't finish off the season in the home and away season, that is, in style.
Absolutely. Speaking of WAFL W, just a little later on, we've got Matilda Husband, the Claremont ruck, joining us to talk about their massive game against Subiaco, and that is going to be a beauty, make no mistake about that, on Sunday. Let's go to the action, Skate. 1 game on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, all live on the WAFL official YouTube channel. And the first one, I think it's kind of fitting, but also we're leaving ourselves in a tear. It's Perth versus West Perth at HIF Health Insurance Oval in Joondalup. 4:35 is the time that it's going to start. And you would say that both sides are very even as far as their depth in the squad is, but I think Perth have been more convincing as far as their form goes. They beat West Perth last time out, if you remember, in round 8 of this year, quite comfortably as well, by some 11 points. And despite losing Poppy Stockwell to the Hawthorn AFLW side, they still have got some very good players in that side. One in particular I've been very impressed with her improvement as a key ruck, Molly Warren. She's averaging 25 to 30 hit-outs a game this season, and I reckon West Perth might have a tough time trying to nullify her impact on the game.
Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating duel. It's only half a game separates the Demons and the Falcons on the table. They are 5th and 6th respectively. Bottom line is the winner of this game immeasurably improves their chances of playing finals. And from a Perth perspective, I suppose Isabella Shannon continues to be a player who finished 2nd in the Dara Kerr medal last year. Numbers just racked up for fun this year. As you mentioned, Poppy Stockwell's absence and departure, teams have to deal with that during the course of a season. But that's big for Perth, not only for what she does for the group, but also as a player who can hit the scoreboard. So on that basis, yeah, it's going to be a fascinating contest. Very hard to call. As we said, Perth just with that half a game advantage. But yeah, this game has more than just the 4 points. As I say, it's an 8-point game in the Classics.
You'd feel like that you would say that, yeah, it's an 8-point game, but it could also be a venue game to some extent as well, because Perth have often struggled playing at HIF Health Insurance Oval at time. They've only met them once, obviously, last year in round 3, and Perth only kicked 2 goals. So they really got lost on the long, vast spaces of HIF Health Insurance Oval. It's a wide ground. West Perth love to play that ground, especially with their run and carry. But West Perth have really struggled to string together some good scores, and that's really been the problem for West Perth, and especially with Mia Russo being missing for such a long time, having been at the AFLW system, their midfield dynamic has not been the same.
No, exactly. And I think when you take out those types of players, and it's inevitable, happens in the WAFL, happens in the WAFL W, that teams do struggle, and the depth for some teams isn't quite there. So maybe that's an issue for West Perth moving forward, and you might be right. The venue might be the determining factor of this game.
But I'm actually thinking it's going to go the other way. I feel Perth, given their improvement, because they've been the most improved side in the WAFL W competition, to be in contention for a spot in the 4 in their 2nd year with a former East Fremantle Premiership coach providing that experience in Steph Walding, I reckon they could get up here. With the rain easing off, they love to play in that dry weather conditions. I reckon they could get up, especially if Warren and Shannon really dominate from the centre.
So a West Perth sympathiser is tipping the Demons in this game, and a Perth supporter is tipping the Falcons in this match. So there you go. They're tipping with our head and not our heart. So, look, to be honest with you, haven't seen enough of both of these teams to give a value judgment. But given the ladder, given the consequences, I'm going to turn this into a venue game. And in less than a goal, Falcons to win.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game, no doubt about that. Make sure you feast your eyes on that one at 4:35 on Saturday. And then we've got 3 games on the Sunday to provide a great appetite for WAFLW football fans. 12:10 at Sullivan Logistics Stadium, Subiaco and Claremont. Don't these sides know how to play a one-sided game? Clearly they do not, because in round 10 this year, Claremont won by 6 points, and then in the second semi-final, Claremont won by a point in extra time. Are we going to see another close one? There's the obvious answer, yes, because they're very stacked in talent at both ends of the ground.
That being said, Claremont's playing irrepressible footy at the moment, aren't they? They're just on a winning run that can't see it finishing anytime soon. And even though they lose Juliet Kelly to the Crows, and that's taking out 40 disposals plus a game is the way she was going, Jamie Harkin continues to pick up the slack. So this Tigers lineup under Jack Schwartz so well drilled. And again, the ladder shows they are on a tear, equal top. I think they're going to have enough quality to continue that winning run against a Lions side that their season very much on the line in this context. 6 wins for the year. They're currently a game and a half outside the top 4. Plus, they just can't afford to have any slip-ups, but this is a quality Claremont side.
Yeah, you're up against it, no doubt about it, is Subiaco, but their big 3 really have to stand up, and they do big time. Of course, I'm talking about the likes of Crystal Petrevsky, last year's Dara Kerr medalist, Paige Shepherd, who's having a marvellous season, and Lisa Steen, who's averaging 27 disposals a game. Those big 3 are going to be under the microscope. They need to stand up and have the ideal support from the youngsters in that midfield unit, namely the likes of Ruby Hobbs, Charlotte Tompkin. They've really got to step up against this Claremont side if they want to keep their season alive.
No doubt, and some of the numbers for Lisa Steen this year, enormous. Paige is just getting 20-plus every game, and Crystal Petresky has recently with 38 disposals next to her name. So they're starting to warm to their task. Are they leaving their run to the finals too late? Have they given themselves enough chance to play off at the business end of the year? Not so sure. Despite those big 3, I just don't know if they've got the depth outside of that group to press Claremont, who are, as you say, these games are always pretty tight, but they've just got the quality and the winning run, which continues at, I think, 8 or 9 at the moment.
9 in a row Claremont are looking for, but Subiaco, their losses this season, they went on a rough patch where they lost 5 in a row. They haven't been by big margins. They haven't been blown away, so they've still been able to contend, albeit not being able to get the result. I mean, they haven't had a dominant result since last week against Peel Thunder, or even against East Perth back in round 3. I just have this feeling that desperate times call for desperate measures, and desperation will get Subiaco over the line. I reckon they'll get up, but only just. It's going to be another one of those close games where it's an 8-point game, as you said in the previous game. I reckon the big 3 are really going to step up. Tompkin needs to step up. But if you're up against Harkin, she has been on fire this year, averaging over 30. As you said, it's going to be a tough task, but I reckon the Lions can live up to it. Lions for me, but only just. It's going to be a cracker.
I'll stick with winning form, Tigers.
Yeah, can't go wrong with winning form, no doubt about that. But you never know. This season has been as dramatic as a Shakespeare play. Let's go on to the 3rd game. East Fremantle and Peel Thunder. This one's at the Goodgrocer Park on Sunday at 12:10 on the WAFL YouTube channel. Now, you can't go wrong with winning form with this team. East Fremantle, of course, they are a side under David Eames in his first year. They've exceeded expectations beyond anybody's belief because they had a big loss of players, none least of which Ash Gomes to the crosstown rival South Fremantle. But with a noticeably young side, they have really blown the competition out of the water.
Absolutely, and they've done it well. Historically, they've been a strong WAFLW side, haven't they? So to see them back in contention and playing some really good footy, it's going to give them a lot of confidence. Currently in 3rd position on the table. Now, they're not going to get the double chance, but they're made some great ground this year, and I think what we've seen in their performances in recent times suggests that they are going to be, more than adequately competitive once they get to the finals. So coming off an 11-point win over East Perth, and look, there's not a huge amount of big-name players on their list, I think it's fair to say.
No, you're absolutely right. And neither on Peel Thunder, apart from Chloe Wrigley, who averages around 30 disposals, but hasn't had a lot of midfield support this season because Peel are still a young, developing side, still developing their game. And East Fremantle, in recent times, they've had Goodgrocer Park as a bit of a fortress in recent weeks. They haven't lost there since round 3 on a Friday night against Swan Districts, and that was by a big margin in the context of the way the game was played. So Peel Thunder are going to have one hell of a time trying to combat the fortress-like reputation that East Fremantle bring at home.
Yep, and your 0 from 14 means that there's, you haven't got a lot of confidence in what they can produce. So, look, I think Tiani Teakle at East Fremantle's been a breath of fresh air for the group, and given her youth and enthusiasm, her leadership has been great. That's indicative of what we're seeing with results this year. So, you couldn't tip anybody but East Fremantle in this one.
No, I don't think so. You'd be hard-pressed to tip against them because, they have been a really good side, especially at home. Okay, they've had a few patchy results on the road, but, a top 4 finish, should they win, will certainly be beckoning for them, especially under David Eames, who's, I spoke on location this year during this show about Eames and his background as a skill specialist. He really has gotten the team to improve their skills, and they've done that incredibly well, and that's resulted in wins even against Subiaco and Claremont at home, so they can take on those top teams.
Absolutely. Yep, they've got some work to do to challenge Swans and Claremont, but outside of that, they should be backing these 4 points and just shoring up their position in the finals, which I think they'll do pretty comfortably.
And you could say that this one could be a one-sider as well. The final game to preview this week in the WAFL W, it's South Fremantle and East Perth on Sunday at 12:10 at Fremantle Oval. Like East Fremantle, the Bulldogs, they're looking to consolidate their spot in the top 4, and if results go their way this week, they could have a bit of a buffer between themselves and the 5th and 6th place teams. So a win would be ideal, but other results will be just as nice.
No question about that. And we've spoke a little earlier in the show about Ash Gomes. She had a terrific performance last outing, 26 disposals. They've got enough quality there, no question, South Fremantle. We've seen them play this year, and Shannon Pommer's back, kicking 3 last outing against Peel Thunder, so they took care of the Thunder with consummate ease really as well. So they've got a pretty strong lineup, I think. Yeah, given East Perth's improvement this year, or in terms of what we've seen previously from them, I think that South Fremantle's still far too strong in this one as we look towards the finals. And a shout out to Kiana Lee, who kicked 6-4, 10 scoring shots.
In her first game too.
First game, that's extraordinary. So that was a 62-point win. They'll be full of confidence after that. And look, with East Perth languishing with just 2 victories for the season, South Fremantle, although not guaranteed playing finals, I think they'll have too much quality here.
But East Perth have shown patches of competitiveness this season, and they only lost by 11 points against East Fremantle last week, and they were in with a chance. They trailed by some 5 points early on in the third quarter, and like Peel, they're a young side, but they've got some valuable experience. We spoke with Layla Ferns on Monday here on Around the Waffle about her game, her role as co-captain, and I reckon she's played her role very well in a side that has only won 2 games this year, and she's mentored the likes of Folletta, Congress, Price, Roxy Adams, and Kate English Hodge very well, and Brooke Edwards starting out in the ruck. She's had a really good season in a team that has only won those 2 games, and Fern's role as co-captain has really been one to be a big tick in the box for East Perth.
Absolutely, yeah. The Royals, they'll be looking to upset the Bulldogs and give themselves some momentum towards the back end of the season. And that's the game, as you'd expect for teams. A bit like Peel, just try and take something out of each match, whether it's winning a half, winning a quarter here and there, and obviously winning a game would be the ideal panacea for a team like East Perth that has battled hard. There is improvement, but the rest of the comp's also getting better and better each year.
It certainly is, and the skill and the standard as well is getting better as well. And, not just from the likes of the Fremantle teams, the top 4, Perth and West Perth as well are getting better. In this case, South Fremantle quite comfortably for me, and I think you'd agree as well.
Yep, Bulldogs to win comfortably against the Royals.
No surprise about that. And we'll start with the same thing as we did earlier as far as the ladder is concerned. Would you feel that the 4, even with the week's results potentially going our way as we tipped or going the opposite, do you feel that the 4 is there as it is, or do you feel that there's one more twist still to come?
Well, you'd like from a competition perspective to see that twist. I'm sure if you're South Fremantle or East Fremantle, not so much. Perth loitering just outside that top 4 with 26 points, half a game behind them, West Perth and Subiaco. So theoretically, it's very possible. But yeah, what is it? Ownership is 9/10 of the law.
That's right.
So on that basis, South Fremantle probably stays there. But yeah, a couple of these matches will determine or will give either some more clarity or murky the waters as regards to which team's going to finish in that 4th spot.
It's going to be one hell of a weekend and a great finish in prospect of the home and away season. Stay where you are, folks, here on Around the Waffle. We've got Matilda Husband, Claremont Ruck, joining us in just a little bit to talk about their big game against Subiaco. And we'll wrap up with something cool that this man's been involved with recently in WA football. It's a marvellous series, and you want to tune in for that as well. This is Around the Waffle. Stay tuned. We've got Matilda Husband coming up after the break.
Take it from me, great things happen at the Waffle.
Valentine Roads and goals.
With Free entry for kids, future stars on the ground, and a kick to kick at every break. The WAFL is where footy memories start and legends are made. Follow the WAFL on socials or get to a game.
Hey Siri, how to connect Bluetooth to Mac truck?
Sullivan 2, what's your position?
Just a midfielder, mate. On your left. Oh, come on, get out of the way.
Car Stereo Morley, proudly supplying and fitting quality car stereos for over 15 years, selling top name brands like Alpine, Focal, Rockford Fosgate. From a simple upgrade to complete custom systems, stop in and see Grant and the boys at 61 Russell Street, Morley, or visit us online at carstereo.com.au.
And you're back with us here on Around the Waffle. Paul Persick and the great Mark Reddings alongside me, looking ahead to some big football coming up in the WAFL and the WAFLW. And our next guest this week, Skeet, is a champion at the Claremont Football Club. She has been a sensational ruck for the Tigers in 2026, averaging up to 30 hit-outs a game, and she's gearing up for a massive game against Subiaco on Sunday in a game that could determine the side's fate in 2026. But what a game it is going to be. Matilda Husband is her name, and she's good enough to join us here on Around the Waffle. Matilda, hello.
Hi, and thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Great to have you on the show. It's been another great season by the Tigers. Since round one, that loss to Swan Districts, they've been getting better and better. They're playing some great football, aren't they, your Tigers? And you're looking forward to the game against Subiaco with a lot of confidence because Subiaco have engaged in a lot of close contests with your Tigers in recent occasions.
Yeah, obviously, we've built a lot of resilience this year with a couple of losses under our belt, but I'm really proud of the girls with how we're tracking this year and the absolute intensity we're bringing to this track each week and to our games. But yeah, obviously, big game this weekend. Subiaco always seems to bring it out and every team seems to play their best footy against us, so pretty excited to see what the contest brings this weekend.
We know that the Tigers have been good for a long time. Juliet Kelly's departure is a blow, but a great fillip for her career. Jamie Harkin has picked up the slack, I suppose, in some respects in terms of being able to help you through the midfield. But this team hasn't missed a beat, despite losing one of the better players in the competition. It just feels like you play a really good system under Jack Schwartz and know each other's games so well, and you feel very comfortable playing with one of your best players moving on or the setup you have. It seems really comfortable for you.
Yeah, so I think we're pretty lucky with our program over the past 5 years or so under Jack that we just have such depth within our team. So even though, it is a huge loss missing someone like Juliet Kelly and times we've missed Tildy and Jamie and all those kind of things, but it's really given the opportunity for some of our younger girls and other players to really step up into those roles. And I think that's where Claremont as a whole, we define ourselves as the absolute depth that we have in our team, that we don't just rely on certain people to get the job done. We do it as a whole consistent unit. So I think that's why I've been so successful in our time the last few years.
You've only been a regular in the Claremont side for the last 2 years, just looking at, your season lines and all that, 8 games in 24, 6 in 2023. And then the last 2 years, you've really had a lot of time to establish yourself as the prominent ruck in the WAFLW competition. It takes a lot of hard work to really get up for those games, especially in a competition that is getting better and better by the week.
Yeah, so I think in my time, I've been at Claremont for this is my 8th season now, and I've definitely been challenged several times over the years. I always try my hardest, obviously, every season, but I think the last couple of seasons just all started to click. I've really focused on my gym and nutrition and, just really leaning on everyone on the club to help support me and facilitate me. I was told by Andrew Di Loretto back in the day when I first started that he believes that talls do take a bit longer to progress than other players. So I think just my time and age and maturity has really helped with my footy career, and especially the last couple of years, bring more that consistency and confidence into my game.
So the appetite clearly is still there for you. The Tigers, as a footy club, they keep challenging, keep winning premierships. Do you feel like, and we know Swan Districts have been very much a bench setter this year, and you had an epic decider with them last year. It almost feels inevitable, without discounting any other teams, that there's almost a bit of destiny here between the two clubs, that you're going to meet somewhere deep into the WAFL W finals campaign.
Yeah, so I think obviously they're probably driving a lot of their own play on probably a little bit of revenge play from that grand final. But it doesn't matter who is in the grand final. If we're lucky enough to be into another one this year, we'll take it on. And, we aren't going to discount whoever gets the finals, because the finals is just, as you would know, completely different. Teams absolutely step up and some teams drop down in finals. So we're pretty keen to crack in and then ready to see what happens week by week as we get into it.
With Subiaco in the position that they are in the WAFL W ladder at the moment, are you expecting a tough, determined Subiaco on Sunday?
Yeah, look, they will definitely have a lot of passion and thrive going on this game, being a big game that they probably need to win for their finals. Subi always brings a cracker game against us. They're quite physical. Their skills are quite good at times, and obviously they did challenge us quite a bit last year in the season campaign we had for 2025. So I wouldn't put it past them to bring out an absolute roofer this weekend. But I think our group has such great resilience and such great connection that that's really going to bring us a long way for this weekend, to keep it clean, keep it fast and keep it good-looking footy.
It's a big contest, no doubt about that, on Sunday. Matilda, thanks for joining us here on Around the Waffle. All the best for the big one on Sunday against the Lions.
Thanks so much, guys.
That was Matilda Husband, Claremont ruck, joining us here on Around the Waffle. And that is going to be a huge game. Could be a season definer for Subiaco, or it could just be another step for Claremont in their aim to go to another grand final.
Might just be 9 from 9 for the Tigers. They're playing such good footy, and we know, despite Swan's dominance this year, they're the two teams that are the standouts.
You've heard it here, and if you've heard it here, Mark Reddings has said Swans, Tigers, WAFL W grand final. Question is where? We don't know yet. But what we do know is, before we go, this great man recently has been involved in a great new series with WA Football. It's been called On the Mark, Skeet. Tell us about this great series that you've had lined up. First few episodes have dropped recently on the WAFL YouTube channel. It's a marvellous series.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, it's obviously a chance to get around to a lot of the clubs and speak to notable players, be they in the men's or female program, about their journey, about their WAFL or WAFL W background, a bit some of the challenges they've faced in their personal lives, and whether they be great moments of birth of children, or getting married, or losing a parent, as we've spoken to one of our special guests as well, in Cooper Clark Deering, and he's given us an insight into what he's been through. So yeah, it's a fascinating opportunity to speak with some of these people that we see on the football field, but get the chance to know a bit more about their character, about the challenges, and about the joy they have of playing footy. So it's been a lot of fun, a bit in the same vein as, I guess, from a WAFL perspective, the Hamish McLaughlin piece, Unfiltered Through Seven. So same sort of theme, and hopefully just resonating with some local football fans.
It's a great story, a series of stories, and I especially look forward to seeing more to come in 2026 and hopefully in 2027. Thanks a lot, Skeet, for coming in today. Really do appreciate it. It's another big weekend of WAFL footy, and it's really heading up as the season draws to a close and finals are on the horizon.
Paul, can't wait. You do a great job promoting the WAFL and the WAFL W, so may it continue. And look, we can't wait towards the back end of the season so much with in the men's and the women's competition. Finals will be here before we know it. Spring will be in the air, and can't wait for that.
September is certainly drawing ever closer, no doubt about that. Thanks a lot for your company, viewers and listeners on the Around the Waffle YouTube channel and where you get your podcast. We'll be back on Monday night with Ethan Roth back in the co-host chair to recap some more exciting WAFL action. You can check us out on Facebook and Instagram, and also on thanks to our great partners as well, Sullivan Logistics, Grants Car Stereo, District Promotions and Front Row Screen Sport. Have a great weekend at the footy, folks. We'll see you on Monday night.